You don't want a goth girl, and you also aren't goth. That's gonna at least offend like 15 people in the audience right now. But before I do that, Discord in the description. I need you motherfuckers to join, please. I beg every single video and I advertise all the fucking time. Please just join the fucking court. Anyway, the majority of most people that claim that they're goth or like are anywhere in the subculture are not at all. You can tell us with the overgentrification of every single fucking subgenre ever, from punk to emo to goth itself. For those uninformed about, well, most of what alternative culture is and literally just are uneducated about all of it. Punk, they believe in non-conformity, anti-authoritarianism, they hate consumerism, and they rather people do shit themselves, and that's why punk clothing is so popular, because most of the time punks actually made real clothes that they wore, except Vivienne Westwood, who scammed the fuck out of every single one of you motherfuckers. I'm sorry. That's a story for another day though. Punk culture has already been oversaturated and has been used in many fashion ideas by relentless designers, always overplaying like these certain designs that like supposedly give off anarchism or some shit, but they aren't real punk clothing because they didn't make it themselves. Like most of the time they're made by manufacturers or some other shit, and most of the time people in the punk subculture make their own clothing, make their own stitching, whatever the fuck. Regardless, it wasn't just gentrified in like the fact of fashion. A lot of the time there are also musical elements. Like there was this one girl who was on TikTok for a while. She was like a P-Hub star and she tried joining the punk like initiative. She was outed for not believing anything and literally didn't know shit about any single one of the bands. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know much about punk music in the first place, and I don't really listen to it. I only listen to death. That shit just fucking pisses me off and makes my stomach turn. But goth is different. The goth subgenre is really one of my favorites of all time because of the fact that it has bands like The Cure, London After Midnight, Susie and the Banshees, Bajas. Never learned how to properly say it, sorry. Ziggy Stardust is one of my favorite songs of all time just because of that fucking shit. And it's related to David Bowie. Like, that shit's hard as fuck. I guess Joy Division kind of counts as a goth band. I don't really know. Some of the Depeche Mode songs are really fucking goth inspired, if you didn't know. Actually, that's one of my mom's favorite bands. Made of Pain, Lebanon, Handover. Like, there's just so many good artists. The entire sound itself is really tantalizing to me because I really like resonate with most of the shit that they're talking about. And to be goth most of the time, you really only had to listen to the music, but let me explain. It goes way deeper than most people think, because most of the time goths are like really leftists and like they are just like non-conformists and they just love people being independent, just kind of like punks in a way. But they're extremely creative people and they love expressing that part of themselves. And I love that. And I also love the fact that they're really introspective and they are really accepting of other people. Because most goths that I've actually really met and I've actually had conversations with are really, really cool people. Most of these motherfuckers really just want to be like buddy-buddy with you. Like, it's not like they're like really mean people, but a very few of them are like really introspective about death and shit. I know that I said that earlier, but like a lot of goth music kind of covers shit like that. And goth music also covers a lot of shit about like love and other shit like that, just normal music shit, but like it's just amplified to a certain point because it sounds like it's just really bassy, like really deep, decrepit shit, and I love that. It's really cool to me and it interests me a lot. But for some people it's not for them, and that's alright. But the thing is that a lot of them still try to claim to be goth on a certain level. Now I know there's newer bands like The Deceits and other shit like that that are like considered goth, and even though they aren't like the exact prototype, it doesn't really matter. They still go under it. But some people just get it completely fucking wrong. Just because you listen to rock music does not make you a goth. Specifically listening to goth music makes you goth. But the thing is that some people don't really understand it. Another thing I won't judge you for, because not everybody knows everything, and that's completely fine. But while sitting here not doing any actual research on like what goth is and like what all this other shit is, whatever the fuck, you can't just sit there and claim that shit and put on white makeup and then listen to Deftones and say that you're goth. That's not real goth. Another thing that kind of like muddies this water a little bit is the fact that cartoon characters have been considered goth that really aren't. If y'all know that one bitch from Total Drama on Island who has the green hair, who wins the first time, she's really fucking lovely person. I actually love her in the show. She might have also been a childhood crush of mine, but that doesn't really matter. But most people around you will say that this is a goth girl, when really she doesn't do anything that actually is that necessarily. I don't really know every single cartoon in the world, but I think that she might be the closest thing that we have. But the thing is that she's also not really goth because of the fact that she's just kind of like, you know, emotional, and that's really it. And she's like a witch. Also, her dad is basically just fucking Satan. But there's so much misrepresentation to the point where people think that if any girl who walks out in a black dress and black hair with some eyeliner on, that makes her goth. It doesn't. That's really just a look that random people pull off from time to time. Real goth women will actually wear like corsets or some shit like that as like an example, or like a lot of silver, like a lot of jewelry, shit like that kind of like reflects off of shit. Sometimes they'll go outside in like the full pale face makeup with like black around like their eyelids, kind of like Robert Smith, but they're like actual makeup that's black and like has like the triangles and shit. Yeah, that's like theatrical, I guess you could say, in some way, shape, or form, because like theater makeup's kind of like that, I guess. I don't really know completely, to be honest with you. Also, they're like wear like a lot of black with dark washes and like harder materials like leather and like denim, shit like that. Sometimes they'll wear like blouses or some shit, sometimes even with like sheaths and other shit like that. Also, laces and fishnets are pretty common in these areas too. Also, most of like your silver actually has to be like occult related or like be like religious in most ways. I think most of the time it's crosses. It doesn't always have to be that shit, but it usually has a symbol on it that means something to you. Also, most goth girls are actually into literature and like gothic romantic literature, like, you know, Edgar Allan Poe. Mary Shelley's also a standout with like Frankenstein and shit like that, you know, like those really like dark creepy stories a little bit, like that kind of give the tingly inglies. Phantom of the Opera is also a pretty big one. Also, Sicilian Romance, that's another big one if I can think of it off the top of my head. So when you hear shit like this is kind of giving you like a better perception of it, and I'm trying to like give you the most like traditional version of most goths that I can think of off the top of my head that I know. I'm trying my hardest not to misrepresent them, and I've been doing like a little bit of research on this video, but I know most about it, and I fuck with goths. All you motherfuckers are actually amazing, and I love each and every one of you. But do I consider myself goth? Not really. I mean, I listen to the music. I agree with like most of the shit they're talking about, but I wouldn't consider myself completely goth. I guess I am in some formats, but you know, that's just me though. I'd rather be me than just be in like a subculture, really. The thing is, I'm making this for the people that don't really understand half this shit and think that affliction and wearing like big ass baggy jeans is gonna get you there. I remember I saw like an Instagram reel, like this one guy who was selling like Empires and fucking like Jinkos and all this other shit, like these big ass baggy jeans in like a goth meetup in like garage sale kind of thing. Like, I'm not sure what the fuck it's exactly called, but certain people that are in the goth subculture will like either make their own clothes or like go out thrifting to find certain pieces that they know that those people will like and actually just sell them just so they can get money out of it. Which, I mean, get your bread up. I mean, hella, fuck it. Also, they'll sell records and other shit like that. People will sometimes bring bats and shit, and I think that's really fucking cool, and I would like to go to one. But when motherfuckers try and like come in this bitch and like start saying like, oh yeah, I'm selling big ass baggy jeans, Affliction Y2K older brother core, that's not what it is. And for motherfuckers like that are trying to like capitalize off of that shit, I hate them. But that's like what most people's interpretation of like goth culture is. Unfortunately, anyway. But regardless of all of that, I'm just trying to like educate you motherfuckers on it. So whether or not you learn anything from this video that's actually like useful information, I don't really know. But at least you know the bitch that wears all black in your school might not actually just be a goth girl or just be emo. Maybe she just wants to wear all black, twin. Regardless, I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers. Listen to Frank Ocean. Anyway, I'll see you motherfuckers later.